Hi, and welcome to Armchair Pundits. Today you've got Leon, myself, Daryl, and we've got a special guest, Graham, with us today. And today the show is all going to be about Tottenham, what's happened the past couple of weeks, where the club is currently, and where it's going to move forward. So join in, watch, and enjoy.
The improvement of the squad, that lies with, our chairman and the owner, Levy and Enoch. He's blasted them, even though he's backed out. Yeah, he backed out of it in his post
Yeah, but we
conference
all know what he
rant.
meant, though.
But let's be
We all know
real.
what he meant.
We know that with Pochettino, he said we got to be brave. The same Harry Redknapp scenario you're just talking about. He asked for people to challenge for the title, and he got Nelson and Saha. So how much responsibility do you think they need to take? Because in terms of when they bought the club, we were languishing in mid-table, finishing 11th, 12th, 13th. And yes, from a consistency perspective and a business perspective, they've done amazingly from that from that point of view. But in terms of taking us to the next step, do you really think that they can do that? Do you think they have the mentality, or do you think they're just business? Because when they bought us, they were about business. They weren't about success. They were just about making Tottenham as profitable as possible. They even said it in their statement when they bought the club. So do you think that can change? Do you think there's any way they will change?
One thing we have to remember this season is that Conte did get back to a certain extent, whether it's the players he wanted or not. He did get back in terms of we brought in a lot of players. We added depth and strength to the squad, and they spent money. They spent a lot of money. So, the board have come through for once and actually spent the money, got players in, and given us squad depth that in the end Conte wasn't even using. To be honest with you.
Well, okay, so who we brought in? Richarlison, Basuma, Spence, and Perisic, didn't we, this season? Who else?
Mm-hmm.
Was about and Longley on loan.
And let's be honest, we know that the only certified pick of those players that were Conte's picks was Perisic.
Exactly.
Let's be honest.
The rest of them were either, typical
They were
Levy.
I need this position.
Like, no, that was.
Yeah.
Oh, look, Basuma's going free or going cheap rather because he's got a conviction hanging over his head. We'll pick him up. Who else? You could argue that actually Richarlison was a properly thought through purchase, but was he first choice? Of course, he wasn't first choice. He was in the short list, I'm sure.
I'm not sure he's the kind of style of striker that Conte usually uses or wants either. He maybe had the passion and the attitude that Conte likes, and maybe we saw that when he came out and spoke against Conte, and then he started the next game because maybe that's what Conte wants from players. But I wouldn't say he was first choice. I think you're right. I don't think he was first choice signing.
I mean, the only thing we can say is that Richarlison, as a signing on paper, was the best second option we've ever had to Kane, ever. But we haven't been playing him in that role. So Kane's still playing. Kane's actually having a great season because he's literally played every game, every minute. And he's saved us a lot of times this season.
Apart from FA Cup, when you need to win.
Yeah, well, obviously that's the time you play your weakest team, isn't it? When you've got a chance of progressing to a cup.
Yeah. I still, as much as you guys say that, realistically, the team we had on the pitch had no right to lose that game because Sheffield United made more changes than we did.
I hear what you're saying, but on the other side of things, look at these players. What, like, if Conte's saying about these players, what he's saying to a certain extent can be true. But look at, like, how is Davinson Sanchez, like, even still at this club?
Who's buying him? Who's buying him?
Who's buying him for 30 million that Levy still wants for him?
Well, that's the problem, then, isn't it?
Levy doesn't want to cut losses.
Nope, never does. I mean, it was
and that's why
signed
we got
6
so
years
much
ago.
deadwood around the club. And that's the only thing that last summer it did well, and in the January window, it does look like they're starting to change their stance there. So they're letting players go who aren't performing. So obviously we've let Doherty go.
We only let
We've released him on a free. And we let
Doherty
the
go.
other guys go on loan, mate. None of them are being signed by the clubs that they've gone on loan to either. None of them.
Doherty only went
that's
because
we know we're not getting money for them. Whereas if you could put them out on loan and they actually perform, which actually some of our players out on loan are performing. When you look around, Winks is now getting some minutes and starting to perform.
Lo Celso's doing stuff for Argentina.
Yeah,
to assist.
Even Ndombele has had a couple of good games earlier in the season. I don't know how he's doing recently. I haven't really been keeping an eye on him.
Well, he's about to be a title winner, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much of that's down to him.
Mate, he's playing a part in the squad, comes on the sub, kill games off. So
true.
Yeah, players that we could do with realistically to do what we need in certain games, but obviously not good enough.
There wouldn't have been any point in bringing them back while Conte was there because he ain't playing any of them.
No, that's true. Yeah,
not with the formation he puts out. He doesn't give a monkeys about attacking midfielders, and that is something which so many times this season we've gone into matches and been outnumbered in midfield, and we got three at the back. We're letting in goals. We're getting outnumbered in midfield, but you're not going to change that, no? Okay, you're the boss.
That's been one of the biggest problems. But I suppose we should go on to the state of play now. Then Stellini, Ryan Mason. What do you guys think of that?
I mean, what else are you going to do? You can't get in. Most managers aren't going to come in at this time of the year because it's almost it's a poison chalice right now. We're not in pole position to get fourth because we've allowed it to not be in our hands anymore. But at the same time, Stellini did all right without Conte. So it'd be interesting to see if there's any change now that he doesn't have Conte talking to him in his ear during matches and whatnot, whether he, is able to put his own style into the team and get a tune out of him. That'll be interesting to see. But I don't really see there was another option.
Stellini's only ever been first choice manager once before, and is in the Italian third league. So, and that record wasn't good. So,
yeah, well, we had Ryan Mason before, bruv, who had no flipping managerial experience ever. So
we've got Ryan Mason now. So we're gonna see the Ryan Mason of a couple of seasons. We're gonna see the same Ryan Mason a couple of seasons ago. Bring his friends, play his friends in cup finals. Ryan Mason. Is that what we're gonna see?
Boy, who knows, mate? Who knows?
Graham, you was a massive Ryan Mason fan.
You are?
You was a massive Ryan Mason fan, wasn't you? When he was there?
As a player?
As a player? Not as a coach. No, not as a coach.
Yeah, at the time he was one of the few players who showed a bit of passion on the pitch. There's a dead side he was playing in.
True.
But he actually he actually gave a shit. He tried to get the team up and tried to play some football. But I'll be honest. I fear for the rest of this season. I don't have any faith in Stellini and Mason to lead us to anything.
Me neither.
I mean, the only reason for getting rid of Conte for the end of his contract was if there was someone else available.
Yeah.
I felt the same. Said, though, it was going to be difficult for him to stay in that dressing room when there's so many players that were in their feelings about it. Because let's be honest, if you have the right mentality, you want to prove the manager. I do have the balls. I do have the passion. I do have that spirit that can actually win something. But obviously, day to day, these guys are having to deal with whatever Conte's bringing to them, and they've clearly got a problem with it, which is why the performances haven't been there. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, let's be honest. You've only got to hear him talk in the in the press conferences and see him on the touchline. I mean, the guy's he's got no control over what comes out of his mouth. You know, he's just like so unpredictable. Can you imagine if your manager at work one day came in and just started shouting and swearing and telling you that what you're doing wasn't good enough and you didn't give a shit? It's not going to motivate you, is it?
No, true.
I can understand laying the challenge down to people, but the way that Conte did it, it's you're right. It was the self-destruct button, because there was no way he could walk back into that dressing room after the international break and say, "All right, come on, lads, got another match. Let's do the same as we did for the last 20 matches." It's just.
So do you think Stellini then has no fault? Is not at fault for any of it? You know, even though he's his assistant. Do you feel that he's like free of the blame to a certain extent? Because it's not often you see a situation like this where a manager and his whole backroom staff go separate ways. Because the only other person that's left is his brother, who does the analysis. The rest of the backroom staff are all staying there, and Stellini obviously taking charge. It's not often you see something like that.
That is true, but I think that also that talks to sort of where the disagreements were. This was a personal thing with Conte. This was Conte self-destructing. The stuff that was going on in his personal life and the pressures that he was under were much more. This wasn't about your entire ethos. Your coaching squad has failed. This was a personal thing that Conte had a problem and had to be removed because of the way that he went off in that press conference, and most likely has gone off behind the scenes to Levy, I should imagine, as well. In most cases, when a manager's moved on, it's because you're not performing, your ethos isn't working. From Levy's point of view, actually, he's doing a good job because he's in fourth place, which is what Levy wants. So he might be thinking in his mind, well, you know what? If Stellini can carry on in that same vein, keeping us in fourth place, I'm happy with that. Get us Champions League. Very different view to what the fans have, but if you're sitting in Levy's chair,
do you think that's why it took so? Do you think that's why it took a week then to decide whether it was a case of can we work with keeping Conte in place? If not, can we keep the same setup until next season? Do you think that's why it took a week to decide this?
I think that the leave of absence that Conte had is telling in this decision making, because I believe that this decision for the backroom staff, or most of the backroom staff, and Stellini to be in charge is because the atmosphere in the club may have been better whilst Conte wasn't there.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the unpredictability of Conte must make it a very difficult place to work.
They are getting paid how much money though, Graham? And the end goal at the end of it is you all want to be successful, surely.
It is, but I don't care. Getting paid money makes no difference to how you perform.
True.
It's true. It's about your integrity, isn't it? It's about, what do you do? What would you do if you had to play for nothing? Would you still be the same? It's the difference, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we all know in football, a lot of it is it's about that building that team spirit. It's about actually all wanting to pull in the same direction, wanting to lay it down for the other guys on the team on the pitch with you, and that comes right from the manager all the way down. And Conte doesn't feel like the right man for engendering that. And we know, he's got no interest in bringing through the youth. He's got no interest in trying to build belonging in the club through that way. He just wants to bring in people who already have that winning mentality and put them on the pitch together. That's how he wants to build a team. It's a bit different to how I view building a team, and probably how a lot of people do.
So based on that, then, who do you think would be the right fit next? Who do we need next? Because I generally think that had Nagelsmann not become available, and Pochettino had it been the club's first choice, that could have happened before the end of the season, and that could have made us get that bounce and get that push to definitely secure top four. I'd feel more confident with that as a scenario to securing top four than I have with Stellini and Mason in charge. But that's what we're left with. So regardless, although I say regardless, because some people are saying out there that if we don't finish in Champions League, Nagelsmann might not even be interested. Who do you think is the kind of manager or the type of manager that we need to take us forward with what's currently out there available with Nagelsmann, Conte, Luis Enrique, De Zerbi, possibly? I know he's fresh to
He's
to
not
Brighton,
available, bro. He's not available.
So who do you think then, Leon? Who do you feel is the best fit for now after Conte's come out and highlighted the club for all its failures? What do we need next?
The truth is, I actually don't know. I actually don't know because I don't think it's just a manager that's the problem. It's deep rooted. No matter who we bring in, the issues are the same. Poch was the perfect project manager of getting the team from being sort of, Europa League to being able to qualify for the Champions League consistently. He's the only manager that's managed to do it in the Premier League era under us. So, and he wasn't able to get us over the line because he wasn't backed. So right now, we could get any manager and they'll still have the same problems. I don't really see how change is going to happen without change coming from the top. And I'm not saying if the Levy's and Joe Lewis are not going to go, they need to change what it means to them for as success, because they're talking about we'll be at the stadium to get success on the pitch. But that part of it has not been done in the best interest of improving the team. It's been in the best interest of making money. And that is where the difference is. That they need to change their focus. So right now, I really don't know. De Zerbi would be a great shout, but he's not available. He's already said that he's happy at Brighton. Brighton weren't going to let him go cheap because they made sure they put a minimum release clause fee in. We spent so much money on managers in the last few years, replacing and getting rid of man early and all this stuff, that we could have bought a flipping world class player for 88 million or whatever it is we spent on managers in the last 10 years. So for me, I couldn't tell you, but De Zerbi would have been a shout. And I'll be honest, it wasn't until seeing how he's done with Brighton that made me feel like that, because when he was signed, I was like, oh, that's going to be an interesting one. But seeing the improvement he's made, even if he came into Tottenham, I still think there's players in our club that he couldn't improve. The improvement will be temporary, and then the same things will start happening again, because it happens with every manager.
Yeah, I mean, for me, obviously, my my heart's with Poch. After what he did for the time he was with us, had he been backed at that in those last two transfer windows, I really feel that we were on the verge of something special as a club. But that didn't happen. The team was stale at that point. I think anyone could see that. And unfortunately, by the time we started investing in players, it was too late, too little, too late, as is the Spurs way. But it's a very different situation now. You only have to look at the last 2 or 3 transfer windows to see we are now making moves in the transfer window. We're not afraid to spend money. We can argue whether that money has been well spent. I think we could all agree that.
I think we can argue that we haven't spent it well.
Indeed,
confirm it, yeah.
But the point is, it's not like the purse strings aren't as tight as they were in the last few seasons. Well, pretty much all the seasons that Poch was in charge. So he would be my first choice, no question about that. And I honestly think that's what we should be what we should be doing now, right now, not 10 matches or whatever of Stellini and Mason, because like I said earlier, I fear for our top 4 spot, which obviously then puts into question who's going to stay next season, what are we going to be able to sign in the summer window. So yeah, I think sitting back and trying to see this season out is a really bad move. Of the other options out there, obviously, I honestly have no idea what's going on with Bayern Munich. I mean, why the hell are they making that change? That cost them millions of pounds to let Nagelsmann go, and he was,
he's got man management issues apparently, and the board have not agreed with some of his decision making.
He fell out with a few players. So I think the biggest issue, from my reading of it, some of the articles I've read, is falling out with Manuel Neuer. Now, obviously, he's very embedded in the club. He's a big character there, and the issue, as I understand it, was Nagelsmann wanted to, or did, let go the goalkeeping coach, who was a very close friend of Neuer. In fact, he was his best man at his wedding. Now that's going to piss you off, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going to.
And from what I understand, that was one of the big factors that sort of caused a split in the changing room of the players who sided with Neuer and those who sided with the manager. Now, I don't know if that sort of thing happened at Spurs. I suspect if it was, for instance, Kane and Son and half the players saying we want this manager gone, I'm pretty sure Levy would probably give him the heave-ho. So I guess that's kind of you can kind of understand that. But from a club perspective, they had a manager here who was trying to develop the way they were playing, trying to bring through new players, and he's a manager who's not afraid to try new things. He tries new tactics, new ways of working on the training ground. I think there's a lot of reasons to like the way that he goes about his business, and I certainly wouldn't be sad to see him at Spurs. Now, whether he'd be willing to come to Spurs or not is a very different question, because wait till the end of the season, we're not in Champions League, we're a different proposition, aren't we? So, but yeah, he's certainly one who I wouldn't be sad if he came to us. Here's a name for you, fella who this time last year he would have been quite happy to sign, but now everyone thinks he's poison. Potter. You rave about De Zerbi, but the only reason he's got a decent team is because Potter's been coaching them like that for the last 2.5, 3 seasons.
Nah, De Zerbi's taking that team to another level, and De Zerbi has always had this style and attacking style of play from when he was in Italy. So I'm not surprised by what he's done at Brighton. We can say about Potter, but what's he doing at Chelsea? I would have taken Potter possibly before what's happened at Chelsea, but they say about little fish.
Chelsea's another one of those clubs where you've got big characters in the dressing room. You've got I think that's his big problem. He hasn't got the authority there.
Yeah, it's because they don't have respect. But would the players at our club have respect? Because they've ousted Conte effectively, and that's one of the most feared managers in the game.
Yeah, I don't see it like that. I mean, our players. I mean, most of them haven't got the balls to stand up against a manager.
Yeah, but they know. But that's exactly what they're doing. It's on the pitch. On the pitch is where it's not happening, but it happens with every manager we've had. It goes stale all the time because we're still playing certain players that shouldn't be playing week in, week out.
Well, that's the question is that because we're playing them because they're the best we've got in that position?
Well, yeah, clearly.
Well, there's no. Yeah, again, the times like you said.
According to who? I mean, could you honestly say Son is the best player we've got in that position this season? Not with the performances. Historically, yes.
But see,
he keeps being played.
But see, that's the problem, though. Remember, under the eras of Poch, we had competition in positions. You had Trippier fighting with Carl Walker. You had Danny Rose fighting with Ben Davis. You had players constantly battling in positions to earn their right to be in the team. And when you've got that, then it brings the next level out of people. Because look what Trippier did in the end, and he moved on and went to Atletico Madrid. Ben Davis became a real solid player, done amazing things with Wales, and he's been solid for us. So if you haven't got that competition, we've seen it this season with Emerson Royale. As soon as Poro was signed, he stepped up his game. So when you've got that competition, you've got to battle for your place, and you've got to put the work and the effort in, then it can work. We haven't had that this season because most of these players know they're going to be starting each and every game anyway.
Yeah, and it's not because we haven't got the squad. It's not because we haven't got the players who could battle for the position. It's because Conte has been too stubborn to play some of those players.
Well,
can you blame the players for that? Can you blame Levy for that? Can you blame anyone else for that? No, that's down to Conte. That.
Right, and as we're on the players, and obviously players that are key, and players that could make an impact. The next manager can make an impact massively on one of our players that's due to sign a contract or not sign a contract within the next year, and our club legend, Kane. Do you think the managerial appointment decides where he goes, or do you think he's going already, regardless, and just become England's top goal scorer, but hasn't won anything with us? So,
I mean, I don't think there's many fans that would blame Kane if he walked. He's given the best years of his career to this club, and what have we given him? A couple of golden boots, a couple of finals. I don't think anyone would complain if he went to a club where he's more likely to win silverware. I would be very sad to see that happen, obviously. And I do think that the managerial appointment will have an impact on that. I also think where we finish at the end of this season will have an impact on that. I think decisions right now could severely affect this club over the coming years. And Stellini and Mason, it's a great decision. Well done.
Yeah, it's a bit of a worry. Leon, what's your view? Do you think Kane's going to be a one club player, or do you think he's out?
I think he's gone. I think the only thing that's going to stop him from moving to another club, and I don't think he'll leave the country, but I think it's going to be his home life. His missus is pregnant. I think it's his third or fourth child or something.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
Fourth, okay.
So basically, I think it will depend on whether his family are happy for him to move up north, because realistically, I can't see him going anywhere other than Man United, if I'm being honest. Judging by the current team's state of play, I can't see him going to Chelsea just because of the rivalry. But he would still be in London, so from a family perspective, it might be advantageous. But I just can't see it from a loyalty perspective that he'll go there. But we've seen that not be the case in the past, and play our talisman leave and go to rival. So for me, I think it's in his best interest to leave. And as Graham said, I don't think any fans can really be upset with him, considering how we feel as fans, being Tottenham fans and dealing with what we deal with week in, week out. So to me, I can't see him staying, if I'm being honest. And if it means he goes on a free, which it seems as though that's a possibility, then so be it. The good thing is that we're not going to lose anything by the fact that he's giving us as much as he can. He came through the youth setup, so we're not really losing anything. We're not. I mean, is 80 million going to do much? It's not. We can't replace the goals that we're going to lose from him. So, and I can't even see him going for 80 mil with 1 year left, and he's in his 30s now. So I can't see us getting any more than that. So you'll probably end up staying one more year and going on the free, I think.
That for me that would hurt, and I'm pretty sure that would hurt Levy regardless. For owners and chairmen that are financially motivated by the sounds of things, that would be a stupid move. Could he have a voice in the management recruitment? Do you reckon? Could that help?
I think that would help him wanting to stay if he has a say in where the club goes, the direction the club goes, and he's even said it in the interviews before about wanting to see what happens with players that are coming in, managers that are coming in, that being a reason for him just making the decision on his future. So it might be that he decides not to sign, and if Levy says, "All right, I'm going to cash in my chips now," and he goes, then so be it, because he was going to lose him anyway. But I think for Kane, right now, it's the biggest change Tottenham have really got to go through to, decide what direction they're going in. So him staying another year for him gives him leeway, because he can still sign a deal by January. There's no rush on his part to sign a deal. It's more on Levy to decide what he wants to do. So he's not going to be short of options. Let's be honest. If he's a free agent,
yeah. Well, we can say that Patrizzi might not be involved in that decision based on the ban that he's about to have to try and appeal. Supposedly, the club reckon they didn't know anything about it. That this was going to be something that was possible. He's been out in the press talking a lot of stuff recently about his decision, the decision that the club's made to get rid of Conte being the right decision, and I'm not sure how much of an involvement he's going to have in it as well.
Well, he can't have any involvement if he's banned, for a start. He's banned from football worldwide. You can't even go to a kids' football match probably. So I don't really know where we go from there. To me, his position is done. It's 2.5 years. Why are you going to have someone still paying someone who's banned for 2.5 years and can't be involved in football whatsoever? It doesn't make sense. So I think it's time to cut our losses. I don't think he's done anything that's made me feel like he's made a huge change in the club anyway as yet. Things still have the same. Nothing's really changed. Things are still the same. He managed to help get Conte in, but what's happened since then? Nothing really.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that the first window when he brought in his buddies from Juve, Kulu and Benti, everyone was like raving about him. But you're right, the last year he's not really done much. And I mean, I don't understand how the ban works, to be honest. I mean, how can you?
Well, Levy seems to still be very much involved, because if you hear anything about the Jed Spence transfer, that was all Levy.
Yeah. Well, that's got Levy written all over it. A young player, he thinks he's got potential to make a bit of money on in the future. That's a bit Levy in that. He loves that.
And Danjuma, there's another one again. Hijack a deal from Everton because potentially, it
it's a bargain.
Keeps fans happy. We've brought someone in with quality, and then the manager doesn't even want him and doesn't even play him. Like, loan for half the season to get nothing out of him. Well, maybe that will change under Mason and Stellini, but yeah, I don't know how much Patrizzi was involved in both of those deals. I don't know, but they're not deals that obviously Conte wanted. And if you're not doing deals that the manager wants, what is the point?
Well, the point of a director of football is to buy the players that you need to develop as a club, to develop a style of play, and to develop a recognisable
ethos,
club identity, isn't it?
Yeah.
And how do the signings that we've made over the last few years do that? I don't don't seem to fit any particular pattern. We're not, yes, we're buying younger players, but everyone does that. Of course, you're not going to buy nothing but 30-year-olds, which seems to be all that Conte wants. But any sensible director of football aims to bring in some youth talent. You could argue Kulu's that, Jed Spence is that, but apart from that, it's all been same old. Just go out bargain bucket shopping, isn't it? So yeah, yep. I'm with you, Leon. I wouldn't be sad to see him go. I don't think he's made a big impact. I don't see any particular change in the way the recruitment has carried on. It's still patchwork. So yeah, get rid.
All right. Well, I guess that's our views and how we feel about things. Conte's gone. He's had his rant. He's hit the self-destruct. He's left the club. Probably left us in a worse situation with now Mason and Stellini in charge. I think we all agree that that's probably not been the best decision for the club going forward. But any managers that are interested are going to want to wait until the summer to see where we end up. And realistically, that's going to hinder in us taking on anyone now, especially when there's going to be clubs out there like PSG, Real Madrid, all looking for managers possibly around the same time, and they're going to look obviously more attractive than what we've got happening at our club. Kane's future up in the air. It's going to be, like you said, Graham, it's going to be a big transition this year for the club, and what decision we're going to go in, what direction we're going to take, that's going to impact Kane's decision. Players for next season, how much of this squad is still going to be here? How many dead horses we're going to continue to flog? We've got loads of players coming back from loan, which is crazy.
We've got a lot of players coming back from loan.
Depending on the manager and the appointment, we could have a whole new squad of old players again, which is crazy. Will we finish top 4? That's going to be the big question. I can say that the three of us here sit very nervous and uncomfortable that the current management that have been left in charge are going to be able to win that, but I guess we'll see. We'll see what reaction the players have. And as for Levy and Enoch, pretty sure the judgment on them from us three has all been the same throughout the years. We attend games together as the three of us. We enjoy our moments. We do love our stadium. We do miss White Hart Lane. But on the other side of things, the problem for this club, like Leon has said before, is from higher up. And unless we see that change, like Graham said, what is the decision that you guys want to make? What is it to be successful? What do we want, from Tottenham as chairman and owners? If it's just to make money off of a nice, beautiful, lucrative stadium, great training complex that you can hire out to international teams, then they're going to be happy and content to keep sitting there taking the money and ignoring the fans and what we want. And what we want is to win stuff, to be successful.
Don't forget the go-kart track.
Oh, yeah, and the F1 go-kart track. And the NFL, of course. But I love NFL and F1, so, for me, I'll enjoy those moments. But yeah.
While you're crying about being in the Europa Conference League. Yeah.
I'm a Miami Dolphins fan. It's just as painful NFL-wise as well. And I'm a Mercedes fan, and this season is going to be painful as well, so we'll take that. But thanks, Graham, for joining us. Hopefully we'll see you on here again in the future. Leon, thanks again for your usual attendance and views. It looks like I'll have to end the show on behalf of James, but thank you guys for your opinions. It's a nervous time going forward. The next 10 games, I generally don't know what to feel. I did say to Leon and Graham beforehand, if it was Ryan Mason in charge, then I'm not sure I'll be attending games on my season ticket, and I might put it on StubHub. But the club's thrown a curveball in there, and they've said Stellini, So I'll probably be attending. We'll be attending games. Hopefully, we'll see Graham with us as well, and we'll keep fingers crossed. But yeah, it's going to be nervous time for the next 10 games. We'll see, and no doubt we'll get to the end of the season, and they would have upped our season tickets prices. And
the renewals emails already in, mate.
Oh, is it? I haven't seen that.
Bro.
Is it in? Since when?
Already in, bruh.
Since
Came
when?
in last week. Well, before Conte was sacked, bruv.
Wow, I got duped last time. I got duped last time. The first time round when they had the promise of Conte coming, and then we ended up with.
Bro, this is what they done. Have you seen the latest? Have you seen the latest coming out of whatever reports that we're looking at considering Zidane? This is what they do. They throw a big name in. Let's suck these suckers in and get them to pay another 700 to $1,000 on their season ticket. Just suck them in again. Real suckers, man. Yeah. Anyway, we move.
Anyway. But yeah, thank you guys for joining.
No worries.
This has been all about Tottenham episodes of Armchair Pundits. Keep watching, keep liking, keep subscribing, and we'll see you again on probably the next Premier League review show. Thanks.
Take it easy.
I know.